Hey there, thanks for stopping by. I'm Bluebear and this is going to be another Incarnate video. Today we're going to keep that series going of playtesting all the parts in the game, and today we're going to be focusing on the Nizari Common Parts. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into it and start talking about the Nizari Common Parts. The Mind part is called Oasis, and the text is, allies in your presence are healed for 10% of your HP and gain 10% regen for 2 turns. Regen is a stackable buff up to 10, and at the start of each turn you gain 10%, or you get healed by 10%. So if you were to have a stacking of up to 10, you would actually heal 100% at the start of your turn. Windlash is the body part, and the skill is attack target an enemy and root them for 1 turn. So root reduces the defense of the Incarnate by 50%, and they can't move. So their next turn, they won't be able to move at all. So it's a good crowd control ability. The soul part is called Sandstorm, and the text is attack an adjacent enemy, teleport back 1 space, then attack all enemies in range. So adjacent enemy means it has to be right next to you, so 1 space away. Then you get to teleport back 1 space. So just remember, based on the direction that you're facing, you'll teleport backwards. And then you attack all enemies in range. And again, that range piece is based off of that stat called range. And this particular Incarnate has a range of 4. So you'll be able to attack anything in the range of 4 spaces away from the Incarnate. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the gameplay. All right, so they just released a new build today, and the enemies actually hit a lot harder. So I'm going to stick with a very low level for this one. Let's just go to level 4. And again, I'm going to show you how to find the Incarnate. It's actually right here. So we'll go ahead and select it. And remember, the gray border here indicates that it's a common Incarnate, and that's based off of your skills, skill rarity type. And you can tell it's all Nizari pieces, or parts rather, because it's got these 3 purple dots, and it's a life affinity. And remember how affinity is calculated. It's based on your part affinity. So we've got 1, 2, 3 life affinity parts. And if you have 2 or more two more parts that are the same affinity, it will become that affinity. So we do have 3, which is more than 2, simple math. So that changes that into the life Incarnate affinity, or life affinity Incarnate. We'll go ahead and get into the map, and we'll start playtesting the skills. All right, so I actually brought in a couple allies to join me, primarily because we're testing this ability here on the Mind part Oasis, and it needs allies to show you that it can actually throw that regen buff up there. So that's what we'll do first. We will go ahead and test out that Mind ability. Again, that ability is going to be based on your presence stat. So you can see my presence stat is here, and that is 4. So I should be able to hit, if I change the camera a little bit, 4 spaces away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all the way out to 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we hover over that, there you go. You get to see that the skill is truly based off of your presence. So I already have 1 Incarnate damaged here. This Incarnate went first in the map. So what we're actually going to be able to see is that that Incarnate does get healed by this skill as well. So let's go ahead and use it. All right, there we go. So you saw the heal of 325, and each one of these has a buff called regen. So each one of them are going to heal by 10% of their HP per regen. So again, up to 100%, because it stacks up to 10 at the start of the turn. So we should see at the start of this Incarnate's turn that they get healed another 10%. So let's see if that happens. There we go. There's the tick for the heal. All right, so let's go into the next ability. All right, so the next ability we're going to test is the body part, and it's called Windlash. So it's right here, attack target enemy and root them for 1 turn. So you can see that no enemy is in my range right now. So what I'm going to have to do is go ahead and move so that it becomes in range, and then we'll go ahead and test it out. So the range is 4 on this Incarnate. So right here, you can see range of 4. So we need to be at least here. Or actually, we could be here technically, but that space is already taken. So we have to be around here, or basically anywhere in here that we can get to 1, 2, 3 spaces, 4 spaces away. So we'll go ahead and move there. Anywhere in there is fine. Go ahead and face that way. And we'll get a closer up so you can see a little bit more clearly. And there we go. So you can see that all of these spaces are highlighting red that we can actually attack. They're within that range of 4. But we do see that the Incarnate is on a yellow square, which means it's going to have cover, which means it's going to do 50% less damage to this Incarnate. Again, I'm going to cover cover and line of sight issues in another video, but for this, we'll just make sure that we actually get the root debuff on the Incarnate. So let's go ahead and use it. There we go. So there's the cover, there's the damage done, and the defense down. That defense down again is because of root, so that now has 50% less defense, and they are immobilized for what looks like 2 turns. Make sure. Oh, so that's interesting. So the skill is showing them showing it to be 1 turn right now, but the buff is or debuff is showing 2 turns. So we'll have to go ahead and ask the developers which one is the correct implementation here, whether or not it's just the skill text that's wrong, or if the buff is wrong. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll get the feedback back to them real quick. Let's move on to the next ability. All right, so we're ready to test the last ability called Sandstorm. It's the soul part, and let's go ahead and read it. Attack an adjacent enemy, teleport back 1 space, then attack all enemies in range. So it's only showing you the first ability here where you get to attack an adjacent and Incarnate. It's not showing you the range that it's going to attack on that second piece of the skill. So remember, we have to keep that in mind, that range value here. So range value of 4. So as long as there's Incarnates within 4 spaces of my Incarnate, it will actually go ahead and attack them, which is pretty cool. It's a direct attack followed by an AoE ability attack, which is a really interesting part of the game. So we have to at least be on this space to do the initial attack, to be able to attack this Incarnate. So we're going to go ahead and move there, face that way, and we'll get the camera a little bit angled. It's a little bit easier to see everything, and we'll go ahead and use it. And I haven't really played around with this one, so I'm excited to see the animation on this one. So there we go. Click. So that happened pretty fast. I'm not sure if it actually attacked twice, so we'll go ahead and run it again and check it out. All right, so we're back again. I think I was a little bit more interested in the animation last time, so we're gonna go ahead and use this ability real quick. And I've turned down the speed a little bit just so it's a little bit slower. Than in the editing process, I'll go ahead and slow it down even more so we can go ahead and see it much slower. But let's go ahead and try that Sandstorm ability again to see if it does that initial hit, teleport back, then another secondary hit. So let's go ahead and watch for it. There we go. Okay, so it took a little while, but it looks like that initial hit for about 488, and then the kind of AoE attack ability hit for 179. So it looks like there's actually a different modifier for that direct attack versus that secondary attack. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's possible that the second attack, because I was on that on this square here, now has cover associated with that. So it seems about right, because because it's a 50% reduction in damage, 179, multiply that by 2, you're looking at right around 360. Where the 488 hit, maybe that was the top range. So it maybe that feels about right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get clarification on that, and when I get clarification, I'll post it in the comments and make sure we got the right information of whether or not it's a different attack multiplier on that second hit, or if it just was the cover ability that reduced the damage by roughly half. All right, so what I'm actually going to do is use the Sandstorm ability on a different space, on a different Incarnate, and see if it was actually the cover mechanism that caused the damage reduction, or if it truly was a damage multiplier that was applied to that second hit. So we should see here, because I'm not in any way, shape, or form going to be associated with that cover mechanism. It should be either the same roughly damage on both hits, or if there's a modifier, it's going to be significantly reduced. So let's go ahead and use it and see what happens. Okay, so it's 413 and 291. That feels like a fairly large range for that ability. So I'm inclined to believe that it's actually a damage modifier on that second ability that is actually causing that damage reduction. So again, I'll go ahead and ask the question, and in the comments, I'll let you know. All right, so I'm back again. As I was finishing up the wave, I noticed I was on the edge of the wall here and did the ability, and something interesting happened. So I want to go ahead and do it again and then show you guys and explain what's kind of happening. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Sandstorm ability. And here we go. All right, did you guys notice what happened there? So it only hit once. It hit that for that 441. So what that tells me is that it does that initial attack, but because it can't teleport back to another space, because we're at the edge of the board, it has nowhere to go. That second part of the ability does not trigger. So it's another piece of the game that you need to be aware of is your surroundings. Anytime that you have an ability that you need to either teleport back to or create another minion behind you, and you're on the edge of the game, the board here, it's important to know that that is not going to work in the game because you have nowhere to go. So that was one last critical piece I wanted to share with you guys. Just another unique part of this game and the mechanisms that it has. All right, so there we go. We just tested all of the Common Nizari Parts. We saw some really cool animations. I really like the animations in this game and the way they do that. We saw, a couple questions that we had, whether or not that multiplier was actually dropping down based on the second attack or if it was just cover. But the basic function of that skill should remain the same. The buffs still, again, like I said, are kind of in flux. They're still working on balancing all that. We saw a discrepancy between the skill text and the buff text, so we'll go ahead and get some clarification on that as well. But hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. All the support so far has been phenomenal. It's more than I expected already. I had very low expectations coming into it, but I really enjoyed, just the comments that have been posted so far. I've been enjoying making these videos. So if you want to see more, feel free to let me know in the comments section, and let me know what other incarnates you're interested in seeing, or other parts that you're interested in seeing. So again, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next video.